I'm Erin, and this is Elliot. And as governor, we're wondering what you will do to ensure toxic chemicals stay out of consumer products so they're safe for babies and children like this guy.
Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't understand the question.
As governor, we're wondering what you will do to ensure that toxic chemicals stay out of consumer products so they are safe for babies and children. And Mr. Dayton, you're up.
First, I'd like to clarify for Mr. Hahn, since he asked the question, because I've seen, as a member of the Senate Armed Service Committee, the cell of a nuclear warhead, the prototype, which is about the size of that water pitcher here, and the byproduct of what you call the fourth generation nuclear power plant, which takes the spent fuel and reprocesses it, uses that, the waste product of that is the close equivalent of a dirty plutonium bomb, the amount of which, filling that water pitcher, would make the city of New York uninhabitable for a couple thousand years. So you talk about putting future generations at enormous peril. It's one thing to take that kind of product if it's generated from a nuclear power plant in Europe, because it would be transportable with only extreme difficulty and enormous risk to the person transporting it. It's quite another thing altogether if that product is being produced here in the United States in proximity to that kind of population center, where somebody only has to do is steal it and use it almost immediately. As I say, the risk involved is almost unthinkable. I'm almost out of time. We need stronger labeling. We need consumers to know. We need to enforce the restrictions that exist. We need to make corporate America responsible for the quality of its products. And I would want the Minnesota Department of Agriculture and my administration to be part of that, along with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Federal Drug Administration, Consumer Protection Agency.
Mr. Horner.
Well, the real answer, a lot of it rests with the federal government. I mean, we do need, as Mark said, a strong, aggressive FDA that is going to investigate, that is going to monitor, that is going to make sure that toxic chemicals aren't getting into our products, consumer products and other products. We also need the strong labeling to make sure that we're aware of what is in the products. But beyond that, you know, I think the state role is to look at what we can do to make sure that we're keeping things like pharmaceuticals out of the waterways, that we're making sure that we're keeping toxic chemicals out of our air and water, that we make sure we're doing all we can to protect the integrity of our infrastructure. I mean, look what's happening in Boston this week. A sewer main breaks, and Boston now, 2 million residents are going to have to boil water because the integrity of their water is compromised. We need to make those kinds of investments to make sure we're protecting the safety and health of Minnesotans at every level.
Mr. Hahn.
With regard to the question, I do think it's certainly first and foremost a federal issue, and that may sound like an easy cop-out answer, but you know, there are certain things that are designed for the federal government to handle and certain issues that the state government is put here to handle. You know, as governor, I would certainly get behind better labeling, better regulation to ensure greater safety. I could be a cheerleader, you know, behind the federal government, but you know, beyond that, I think it's time that could be better spent elsewhere as a governor. And to move back to a couple things that were said, since I have a little extra time here, I'm intrigued, Matt, by the concept of putting solar panels on businesses or even homes, and I do like that idea. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were trying to brainstorm, and she had a great suggestion. She said, you know, it's one thing to be of the green mindset, but the green mindset needs to carry over to the pocketbook as well. So I think if we could find a way to encourage people, one way or the other, to make these personal investments or help them make personal investments, knowing that they're going to get some take back in the long run, I think that's where we should go from the solar standpoint.
Mr. Intenza.
Good. Rob and I are finding bipartisanship here already.
I told you I could get along with different opinions.
And Rob, actually the state does have a role to play here, because the State Department of Agriculture and the Pollution Control Administration work hand in hand with the EPA, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and a number of other federal agencies to make sure that when there are toxics, that we are looking out for them and that we are being careful about them. We can't just count on Washington, D.C. to take care of it. And what I like about your answer, Tom, is in everything you say, of course, it's a government role. And we are a community, and we come together as a community, and we have to decide that some of these things are priorities. But that means we come together, and we don't just say that it's about personal responsibility, because when someone decides that it's okay to sell a product that's unsafe because they can make some money, we have a role to come together and to solve that. And I'm proud to have met with MPIRG and a whole coalition of groups in this state that are working both at a state and a federal level so that we both know what the toxics are that are in our products, so that people will know what they're buying. And that secondly, that for those that we know create cancer and other problems, that we make sure that the state's not buying those, and that we make sure that we have the appropriate regulations to take care of them. And to finish the thought on solar, you know what? When we make the decision about where we want our money spent on energy, we can create those incentives. People want to buy solar. People want geothermal. They'd like to do more with small-scale wind, but they can't get the financing to do it. And that's working together. We can find ways to do that so the private and the public sector can work together.